first question is, how do you accomplish the school part? You know, it's really easy to think, hey, public school, you just go, of course they're getting the school part done. But when it's non-traditional education, sometimes that's kind of the unknown part. I'm going to let you go first, Tony, just because it's skateboarding and surfing. How do you do the school part? Let's hear it.
So every semester we have a focus, whether it's engineering or physics or environmental science. So basically I do work off what a high school curriculum would be for that subject, and then water it down according to age. So we're making sure we're touching every subject in physics or every subject in environmental science. And so we plan those out into our 14 weeks of classes and break it down. And then we work on doing a hands-on lab, because I really feel like kids need to taste it, see it, smell it, and just feel what they're learning. So we try to do something hands-on where they can actually put what they're learning into action. And then they go out and surf or skate. And especially with physics, we're really able to incorporate that with the surfing part or with the skating part. If we're doing architecture, they have projects that they're working on. So every time it's something different. This past semester we did engineering, and then we're going back to physics this coming semester. So
that's amazing. So you're not just winging it out there. I know it looks so easy. Just go outside and play all day. No, you've got Excel spreadsheets and plans and things all laid out. So that's fun to hear. Thank you. Does anyone else want to share about how you do the school part?
It's funny that you asked that question, because my kid is getting to 11, and I'm elementary, so going into middle is I'm having other people kind of lead the middle school stuff. But as Caitlin was starting to talk about, like, how she takes things that they're like they don't care about some of this stuff anymore. So I would honestly love to hear from Caitlin and anyone else on how do you not necessarily make them care. A big part of what I've always done with my learners is let's just get through it really quickly. Like, we can cover the content very quickly. They still get it, they understand it, and they move on. And I know I was really good at doing that even growing up myself, where I got the information, I could regurgitate it and get an A, and I was fine. I want them to kind of care about what they're learning. Is there any way that you actually can kind of involve with them actually caring about what they're learning, especially the school boring stuff? I'm sorry, it is not fun. Like,
it looks like she did a really good volleyball pass to you, Caitlin.
Yes. Like, I was going to ask you that. Once you said, like, you made like convicted felons, and my kids, but you know, like,
your kids are convicted felons.
They're not. And hopefully it stays that way. But no, the reality is, it's like, why do I have to do this, Mom? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to do anything.
And I'll tell you what, getting a 17-year-old who knows they're going to be out of school in 8 months to really engage and care is not the easiest thing. But so just for also reference, I've taught everything from 2nd through 12th grade, whether it was in the classroom or tutoring or homeschooling. So I kind of have a very wide or large spectrum here. So there's kind of two parts to this question. Number one is how to get them to care. And number two would be like, well, how do you get the academics in there if it's something that is not the most exciting, right? So the thing about doing a thematic unit is you can hide the stuff that they think is boring inside this unit, kind of like what you do, Tony, right? You're hiding the mathematics. They don't know, they might see it, but they're not really thinking about it, because they're like, oh, well, I just need to figure out this so I can do that, right? So if we are, let's say, learning about Florida history, and we're studying the time period when Disney moved in, we can start talking about roller coasters and getting into the mathematics and physics of roller coasters, right? So there are ways to get that information in there without them really catching on, right? Like, let's design a roller coaster. Why not, right? And then the other part is, you know, understanding that not everyone is at the same place. Not everyone has the same background knowledge. So by, creating a curriculum designed for a specific child or a specific family, it really gives you the potential to give them specifically what they need.
Excellent. That was great. I know Melissa has tons of great ideas in here too. So if you ever want to jump in, Melissa, feel free.
Yeah, I mean that the biggest question is how do you get people to care more? And I ponder that question on a daily basis, honestly. And everything that we do for Lake Worth Waterkeeper and the education program is built around that question. I mean, we're heavy into the history and science, but all of our school stuff is embedded into what it is we're doing. But ultimately the answer to that is to make it personal. Anything and everything that you're teaching, you can make it personal. And everything, if you have the mindset of like systems, everything's interconnected and codependent on everything else. So if you can make it personal to them and figure out how things connect together, it'll be so much easier if they can do hands-on experiential work that's personal to them. So if you're always bringing back to like why is it important to me? Why should I know this? It's a great question. I remember before doing all this stuff, I worked at a treatment facility and I did all of their outdoor fun stuff. And they're like, what does this have anything to do with my recovery? I was like, that's a great question. Let's talk about it. So I always welcomed like that bigger question, like, why do I need to do this? I'm like, well, let's think about this. Let's work that out and always make it personal to come back to them, because that's how we can get them to care more about what they're doing.
I love that. I love that we kind of rotated the question about school into why should I care about learning this? I think that's the big thing. I think I heard something recently that said the parents, they spend, 90% of their time worrying about the education of their kids. Like, how are they getting that done? So if you can figure out, like you've got a kid that's entering that next level. I still remember, so I have 6 kids too. I've got a big family. When my oldest, she's now 21, entered the middle school phase, I was having this major, I don't know how to do this level. I was an expert at elementary and now I got to do middle. I don't know how to do that. Let's just pull out now. Let's pull the plug because I don't know how to do this. But luckily for me, the way just kept being lit, 1 foot ahead of me, 1 foot ahead of me. And pretty soon I was plowing through and making that next step. So I think it's the same with anyone. We all need connections with each other. And then as we reach out, we can get help when it gets tricky or find the why when somebody's not really igniting from what we're talking about.